We have 12 Friday the 13th movies, which means we have 12 protagonists. But was there somebody in their own movie that would have made a better protagonist? Let's talk about it. Hello everyone, Vic here with another video. Today we're talking the Friday the 13th series. Hope you've had a great 4th of July weekend. Hope you got to see all the fireworks, all the 4th of July shenanigans, had a fun weekend. Today we're talking protagonists in the Friday the 13th series. Of course, every slasher movie, every franchise horror film has to have a final girl or final guy protagonist who defeats the villain, saves the day. But sometimes you're watching the movie and you're like, whoa, they got it wrong in the script. They wrote the wrong damn protagonist, and there's a supporting character that should have been the main character instead. So let's go through the entire Friday the 13th franchise today, each movie one by one, and see, did they get it right? Did they have the right final girl, or is there somebody else who could have, should have, would have maybe taken their place? Okay, let's start with Friday the 13th, the OG original 1980. Of course, great death scenes. Tom Savini here doing the makeup, which early 80s horror films, you can't get much better than Tom Savini. Of course, we have Sean Cunningham actually directing here, the brainchild of Friday the 13th. Victor Miller writing. Victor Miller, did you write the right final girl? We have Alice as the final girl in the original Friday the 13th. Now, Alice, of course, is a beloved character in the Friday the 13th franchise, in horror movies in general. So I want to just say this right now. I'm not here to downplay Alice or talk negative about Alice. I know that a lot of people love her, but I'm just going to come out and say it. For me, she's an overrated final girl. I don't emotionally connect with her. I've said in other videos, for me, she's middle of the pack, not top tier as a final girl, even in the franchise, let alone the damn horror genre. But I can understand how people got connected to Alice. I can understand that her death in part 2 was shocking. But if I look at the original Friday the 13th, is there somebody who would have been better as the final girl? This one's actually pretty easy. I've said in other videos, Annie. Annie, the hitchhiking would-be cook for Camp Crystal Lake, gets a ride to Camp Crystal Lake, gets another ride to the lake, hopefully, but instead she gets picked up by evil Miss Voorhees, who is going to kill her by slicing her throat. Either Miss Voorhees or if Jason was helping, maybe that was Jason, but we're thinking Mrs. Voorhees. So what makes Annie potentially a better final girl than Alice? Well, we only get about 3 scenes of Annie, so I'm not gonna say there's all this character development for her either, or that there's some big emotional connection. But what we know of Annie is that she's a very sweet, nice person. She has final girl energy, in my opinion. She has a certain innocence to her. I feel like she probably would have sold the whole battle with Mrs. Voorhees very well at the end with that fight scene. I can see her chopping off Mrs. Voorhees' head. I think the actors just seem like very affable, likable, somebody that you probably want to go on a journey with, somebody you immediately get behind. Even in just 3 scenes, she leaves a lasting impression. We want to get behind her. We want to see more of Annie, not to be they're pulling the whole Janet Leigh and Psycho thing where you think she's the final girl, but she's killed off early. And look, she's our introductory viewpoint to the movie. She is the first character we actually follow, so that alone sort of frames her as potentially the final girl. Would she have been better than Alice? I don't know, but I would have liked to see Friday the 13th potentially with Annie as the final girl. I'm gonna side with them going with Alice being the right decision, but Annie is a credible final competitor. Challenge to Alice, could have been the final girl. Didn't work out that way. Okay, let's move on to Friday the 13th Part 2. Now listen, I called Alice beloved, but even more beloved than Alice is Ginny from Friday the 13th Part 2. Everybody loves Ginny. Ginny is sassy. Ginny has a little bit more attitude than Alice. She brings a different feel as a final girl than Alice did. And she gives Jason a hell of a battle at the end, hell of a chase scene. Fantastic ending to Friday the 13th Part 2. This one, I would say, is a clear no. There could not have been a better final girl than Ginny in Part 2. Ginny's clearly a standout here as a character. I think the actress does a wonderful job. So not much to say here. I guess Vicky maybe in Part 2, the character Vicky. She seemed sweet. She seemed like she maybe had a little bit of final girl energy. but a final girl has to be able to fight back, has to be resourceful. Vicky, when faced with Jason, for some reason stands in the damn corner of the room against the wall and just lets sackhead Jason walk towards her in slow motion. Even Jason's like, hey, why won't this girl run? Like, she's just standing here. This is the easiest kill of my life. So Vicky kind of didn't really show final girl resourcefulness or survival instincts when she met Jason. So I can't say her. So I'm sticking with Ginny as, yes, they got that right. That's the ideal final girl for part 2. Now, let's go to 3D, Friday 13th, part 3D. Terrible 3D effects. Amazing disco music soundtrack. Those opening credits. Who doesn't want to dance a jig when that damn soundtrack comes on? But Friday 13th, part 3, the final girl, Chris. Well, Chris, of course, has a history with Jason. She was attacked by Jason in the woods a couple years, I guess, before the movie. We get that weird flashback sequence. She has a sort of budding romantic interest in Rick, one of the most boring, unintriguing potential final girl, final guy couples we've seen in any horror movie. You just never care about them. You never go to get on board with Rick. Chris does an amazing job of when she finally does face off against Jason. She is very resourceful. She has all the elements of final girl energy. She takes out Jason at the end. I mean, the axe, everything. I mean, she got helped by Ali, but she did take out Jason. Chris is a solid final girl. This is not going to be demeaning her, but there's a clear candidate to take over Chris's final girl spot in part 3, and that is Vera Sanchez. Listen, I'm a Vera fan. I've said in other videos, I think she's one of the most underrated characters in the series. Vera has a storyline that sets her up potentially as the final girl. She's not the fish out of the water, but she's the one in the group who is going against her mom's wishes by coming to the lake. She's being set up with a blind date with Shelly. She's kind of an outsider to the group in a way, in that way, and the opening scenes kind of follow her in a way that makes me think that she, like Annie in the first one, you could say, maybe was set up to be the final girl. The first half of the movie, it feels like you're following Vera and Shelly just as much as you're following Chris and Rick. And really, Vera and Shelly have the main, I would say, character storyline that's driving the human plot. When Vera and Shelly go to the convenience store, they have the face-off with the bikers. There I saw a little bit of a hint of Vera probably having some badassness to her. Like, I have no doubt she would fight against Jason when push comes to shove. And her storyline with Shelly being the most intriguing storyline in part 3, you would have liked to see that to get a better payoff. Well, let me say any payoff. There's no payoff to their storyline. She looks at the damn wallet, sees his picture. It looks like she's starting to feel something for old Shelly. And then here comes Jason to mess up their would-be romance by shooting her in the eye and killing Shelly. Vera, we need justice for Vera. She could have been the final girl. It would have been a much more interesting finale if they went with Vera and Shelly as the main couple there. Now, maybe not a couple. Maybe Shelly stays in the friend zone. But Vera, I think, show to me probably does have what it takes to take on Jason. I would have liked to seen it. Let's move on to final chapter, Friday 13th part 4, known mostly for Crispin Glover's dancing. That 80s style dancing just stays in your head. Where's the corkscrew, Ted? And great death scene for Crispin Glover also. But we think about, could there be a better final girl in Friday 13th? Well, there's really, I mean, you have Trish, you have Tommy Jarvis. So you have it's a dual final guy girl thing here. So I don't know if you can really replace them. I mean, Trish and Tommy as a combo, their brother-sister combo taking on Jason. I gotta say, I can't see anybody else like stepping in and being the final person here. I mean, obviously, we had Rob, who was sort of set up to be kind of a final guy. I mean, his storyline, avenging his sister. He's out in the woods. He's got photographs of Jason, articles of Jason. He's got weapons. He's looking for his time to get revenge on Jason, take out Jason. But when he meets Jason, what do we get? He's Caroline Mag! He's Caroline Mag! Run, Trish, run! Look, I've said it time and time again. This scene is funny to me. It makes me laugh. But yes, Rob, unfortunately, didn't really show any survival instincts there. So he's not going to be able to qualify as a final protagonist type of character. But I do have one potential final girl from final chapter, and that is the character Sarah. Sarah, who falls in love on this trip. Sarah, who, says she's in love right before she's killed, unfortunately. Something about Sarah does have final girl energy, and she's a character also who, quite honestly, is very, very likable. Like, you actually said, when she gets that damn knife in her chest, you're like, man, that sucks. And how the hell did that towel stay on her when she's running like that? And how did Jason know she was exactly behind the door? The axe flies to the door right into her chest with perfect precision and aim. What the hell? But beyond that, you think, hey, that character's fantastic. She could have been a final girl, no question about it. I'm going with Sarah potentially. Although, again, for this one, we got to say that Trish and Tommy are basically a perfect final duo. You can't really ask for a better protagonist than them. So we'll keep them there with Sarah as a potential contender. Rob, if he ever stops killing you, maybe you can, be a part of the final protagonist as well. Anyways, let's move on to part 5, A New Beginning. We have Roy Burns randomly attacking a bunch of random people in town, killing everybody except the one person who actually did kill his son. Damn Victor, who goes to jail, gets off scot-free here, is gonna see trial while everybody else in the damn area gets killed, even people who have nothing to do with it, like Demon. So Vic gets off scot-free. But one big pet peeve about part 5. But is there a potential final girl or final guy here who would have been better than what we get at the end with Reggie the Reckless, Pam, and Tommy Jarvis? Yes, replace Pam with Demon. Give me Demon as, Reggie's older brother comes to help save the day. Him, Tommy, Reggie the Reckless, they take on Jason. I don't need Pam. I like the actress. I like the character a little bit, but you could have just had Demon or Neil. I believe his character's name is Neil. The guy who, just randomly dies against a tree. He's kind of set up as the head of the clinic, maybe the main character, just never goes anywhere. So he was kind of underused. So maybe him, but listen, we just want to see more Demon, all right? We want him to kill Jason and then sing that damn song again. We want him to go on to have an amazing music career and live happily ever after and not have to deal with those damn enchiladas anymore or freaking Roy Burns killing him randomly. Okay, let's go on to Friday 13th Part 6, Jason Lives. My favorite movie in the series. And the thing with Jason Lives is that it's kind of like Final Chapter, where to me you have a perfect pair of protagonists here with Tommy Jarvis and Megan. Tommy Jarvis, you definitely can't replace him in this movie. I mean, he is the main character of the Part 4, 5, 6 trilogy, so you have to keep him. Megan, yes, I think you have to keep her as well. She gives amazing final girl energy. She actually is the one that really takes out Jason at the end, to be honest. The only potential contenders for final girls or final guy would be Sheriff Garris. If you want to keep him alive, which I've argued maybe he should have stayed alive, to assist with killing Jason, and then him and Tommy actually showing some respect for each other at the end, and Tommy getting that sort of I told you so moment of, hey, I've been warning about Jason the entire movie. You just saw Jason, give me approval to marry your daughter. I don't know, but certainly Sheriff Garris could have been part of the final protagonist group. And then the character Paula definitely had final girl energy as well. We spent a lot of time in the middle of the movie with her, so she maybe deserved better than her ending. So maybe Tommy and Megan saved the day, but then, somehow, Paula lives as well. So I can't take Tommy or Megan away as protagonists here, but we can maybe add to them. We can have either Sheriff Garris live or we can have Paul live. There's no problem with having 3 survivors. Sometimes horror movies feel like you have to narrow down to 2 survivors. You can have 3 survivors. I mean, come on. Okay, on to Friday 13th Part 7, The New Blood. Well, could anybody replace Tina? R.I.P. Lar Park Lincoln. The thing is, like, no matter how you feel about the character Tina, the fact is she has to be the main protagonist because she's the one with the sort of supernatural telekinetic abilities to actually fight Jason. So this is supposed to be Carrie versus Jason, essentially. So you have to have Tina as the final girl. Do we need her boyfriend, though? Could her boyfriend be replaced with somebody as, again, another thing, too, is they sometimes feel like it has to come down to the final 2 people, and they feel like it has to be the final couple, like a girl and a guy. I think that's kind of played out. I think if you made that movie today, you could definitely kill off Tina's boyfriend. But who would replace him? Who would join Tina at the end there? Well, let's see. Let's think about it. What about the character Maddie? Remember Maddie, who gets killed in the barn, who spent the entire middle of the movie getting, a makeup makeover done, and then the guy she got the makeover for doesn't even see her, and she just ends up getting killed. It was a waste of a lot of makeup, I guess. Maybe Maddie could fill in the shoes. Well, nope, I got a more fun choice because I think sometimes it might make sense to have the human villain survive with the hero, and they together take out Jason. Now, I'm actually not talking about Dr. Cruz in this movie. Dr. Cruz is probably one of the biggest villains in the entire franchise, but he gets what he deserves in the woods from Jason. I don't want to mess that up. But what if Tina's boyfriend dies, but Melissa, evil Melissa, has to work together with Tina to take out Jason? Tell me that's not intriguing. Think about that idea. Jason comes in the house at the end, throws the boyfriend with the axe, he gets the axe in the head, throws him across, over the TV, and then Melissa and Tina work together. Well, 95% Tina taking out Jason, 5% Melissa just being comedic relief and yelling in the background and complaining and being like, I hate you, you're a bitch, but we have to work together. Maybe something like that. But that's kind of intriguing, the idea of Melissa and Tina after all the events of the movie, them being antagonists, just having them work together, the hero and the villain element versus Jason. That might be interesting. So I'm going to say that's a good possibility I would like. Okay, number 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. Well, the main girl is Rennie, and Rennie, of course, is having the flashbacks about Jason from her childhood and things like that. And I can't say I get attached to her character, so I'm open to replacing her altogether as the final girl. But who would replace her? Well, we just said Melissa could be a part of the final girl thingamajigger and New Blood. So could that be Tamara? Could Tamara go from, being that evil bad guy in the middle of the movie to somehow surviving and then taking on Jason? I don't think so. I'm going to say let's not do Tamara. But Kelly Hu played a character called Eve. And Eve is very underrated because she's given a character arc in the movie. She was Tamara's friend. She was hanging out with the bad girl. She didn't want to do bad things, though. She's thinking about her future, probably wants to focus on bettering herself. So she separates herself from Tamara, changes over a new leaf, going down a different route, finding new friends, a whole new life, only for Jason to kill her. And Jason kills her in amazing teleporting fashion. So, man, I've always said, let Kelly Hu make it to New York. She should have been on the raft as part of that final group that makes it to New York. And yeah, let her be the final girl. That would have been amazing. She has an arc. Like I said, they give her character development and then kind of waste it by killing her. Like, what the hell, man? Like, her reward for turning on Tamara and, making the right decision, her reward is to get choked out in a disco room with bad music and stupid disco strobe lights. So, justice for Kelly Hu definitely could have been the final girl in part 8. Another thing too, also I would say, maybe somehow keep the main male character Sean. Maybe keep his father alive somehow, because him and his father have a storyline that also doesn't really pay itself off because the father gets killed in the middle of the movie. But there was something that kind of set up that never gets a payoff. You're like, why'd you even have the father on the ship if there was going to be no payoff there? So that, I don't know. Okay, number 9, Jason Goes to Hell. Well, I do like the character of Steven, actually. I think Steven is underrated. He's somebody that goes through quite the plight in Jason Goes to Hell. And by the end of the movie, I'm on board this character, cheering for his character. Jessica as well. I like her as well. But this is an easy choice. I mean, clearly, just go ahead and make Crane Duke. He already kind of is, but make him the main character. Make this movie really about Jason versus Crane Duke. Let Crane Duke save the day. Stab Jason with a dagger at the end. Just Crane Duke is a standout character of the movie, so let him be the hero here. Let us think about possible future sequels where Crane Duke could make an appearance. He survives here, saves the day. Biggest badass, most fun part of Jason Goes to Hell is definitely Crane Duke. On to Jason X. I'm going to go with a very unconventional pick with Jason X and say the character Waylander, who feels like one of the main characters for the first half of the movie, is always involved with everything, has a lot to say, a lot to do, but then he sort of sacrifices himself for the betterment of the group to take out Jason. It really doesn't work, but he makes an attempt to sacrifice himself. Yeah, let's go Waylander. Let's have him, again, fight Jason in the end, save the day, Why not? Likable character. Let's throw him in the mix. All right, on to Freddy versus Jason. I'm gonna say this may be controversial. This is gonna be the first movie where I'm eliminating the final girl and the final guy, and I'm not even replacing them. We don't need them because we have Freddy versus Jason. That's right, Monica Keena, Jason Ritter, the two most unlikable or the two characters in the series who I just don't cheer for at the end. I have no emotional connection. I don't care about their storyline. I think them interfering and causing Freddy to lose to Jason, I feel like that was stupid. It should have been just Freddy versus Jason then. We don't need a human element at the end, in my opinion. We just need Freddy versus Jason. I would eliminate them all together, not replace them. No, not Kelly Rowland, nobody like that. Just Freddy versus Jason. Eliminate the final girl and final guy from Freddy vs. Jason. Finally, we have the reboot. Listen, easy decision. Who has to go here? Well, I don't know. We got to make room for Jenna. Jenna should have been the final girl. She's up as the final girl, and then she's killed to make way for the brother-sister combination, which I guess I said earlier, maybe I'm contradicting myself. I said earlier that, you don't always have to do the final girl and final guy as the couple. So they did something different here, and they go with the brother-sister instead of the final girl, final guy couple. But I just think Jenna was a more likable character and deserved better. Justice for Jenna. Anyways, that is the list of the 12 movies so far. The protagonists who I think could have been replaced, and if they were to be replaced, who would they get replaced by? The strongest case of all of them for me is part 3. Vera instead of Chris, I think, is the strongest argument I make based on what's in the movie. The other movies have some possibilities there, but sometimes just adding a third survivor. Again, we don't have to have just only 2 survivors then. We can have a third survivor. So it's sometimes doing that. Even with Jenna, maybe let her live. You don't have to kill the sister, but just have all 3 of them make it to the finish line. Anyways, until next time. Well, actually, let me also say in the comments, please let me know, was of all these possibilities, who would you have liked to seen to actually be the final girl? And if you like this video, please subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment, thumbs up. We appreciate all of that, all the feedback. We'll have more videos coming to you every time, every week, all the time. Until next time, you guys take care.